Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So in this episode I'll be reviewing Man United's season so far. So obviously they're 5th in the Premier League on 45 points. A sort of mix and match season from Man United, to be honest. Obviously with Solskjaer being the manager now, obviously a lot of changes, he's implementing styles, he's obviously getting used to being a manager, things like that. They're implementing youth, some sort of fringe players are coming back into the picture. And yeah, so a sort of season of still uncertainty at Man United in terms of, you know, what Man United are you going to see every week. There's still not an identity at the moment to Manchester United. You know, one week they might, you know, go and beat Chelsea, you know, look very good. And then they go and lose to Burnley. Again, no disrespect to Burnley, but then they're playing at home against Burnley and they get comfortably beat 2-0. Burnley just exposed their weakness and they got a comfortable win there. So, as of yet, a very sort of mix and match season for Man United. But I'll go through that a bit later in the video. First of all, we'll go through the cup competitions for Man United so far. The FA Cup, they're into the 6th round. They got a tie away at Norwich. If obviously it gets played this season, we don't know yet. The League Cup, they obviously lost to Man City in the semi-final. They were unlucky in the second leg because they had a lot of chances to potentially take the game into extra time or even potentially win it. But they did throw it away in the first leg. They were comfortably beat by Manchester City in the first leg. And that is ultimately what obviously got Man City into the final. So at the end of the day, they're out of that cup. Europa League, they're in the round of 16. They won their first leg 5-0 against Lask, their team name is, some Austrian team. They comfortably won that 5-0. So you'd think they'd be through to the next round. Obviously we don't know again when it's going to be played, but at the moment they're still in that. So in terms of the cups, obviously League Cup did well, good run, FA Cup still in it, and Europa League still in it. So a good showing in the cups. Obviously they had a chance to win the silverware in the League Cup, but unfortunately because of their performance in that first leg of the semi-final, they ultimately came up short. Obviously, as I said, in the Premier League they are 5th. They've had a lot of mix and match results. They can go on a little run where they're like 3-4 games where they win and they might draw and lose a few in a row. So yeah, as I said, very inconsistent. But recently, sort of last in February, throughout February, they got a nice unbeaten run going. And that pushed them back up to 5th before all of this happened. So yeah, very sort of not average season because it is quite good in my opinion anyway. But you know, there's obviously a lot to improve on. Now sort of going on to what I was talking about sort of at the start in terms of Manchester United as a whole. Obviously, me personally, I think they might still be adjusting to life after Sir Alex Ferguson. It might seem a bit weird me saying that, especially when they've had so many managers. It's been quite a few years since obviously Sir Alex retired, but obviously they had some managers that have come in, haven't done what they should have done. Obviously David Moyes, who was chosen by Sir Alex Ferguson to replace him, didn't obviously get the desired results and was ultimately got rid of. Obviously Giggs came in for a little bit just to take over for the last few games. Then obviously Louis van Gaal came in. Now why he got results, unfortunately his style of football wasn't what Manchester United wanted. He was a very sort of, not cautious manager, but he was very defensive. They didn't play the sort of attacking football that obviously United fans are so used to seeing over the years, and that was ultimately why the United board made the decision, albeit at the wrong time I thought, to get rid of him. Obviously he did win the FA Cup, that season, and obviously they got rid of him a few days after that. But ultimately, United fans didn't want Van Gaal there, and that's ultimately why he got rid of. Then obviously they turned to Jose Mourinho. Obviously, as much as people hate him or some people like him, he is a very good manager in my opinion. But obviously he had success. Obviously Inter Milan, Chelsea, obviously Real Madrid, clubs like that. But I think just with Manchester United's ethos, obviously with the free-flowing attacking football, they've always had a youth team player in the squad since way back in the day. And for a manager like Mourinho to come in, he doesn't fit in with that ethos. And again, even though he won trophies, he obviously won the Europa League and he won the League Cup for Man United. It's United fans still didn't like him. There wasn't that affection. There was obviously a section that were obviously singing his name or behind him, but there was a large majority that didn't join in the chants, were going on sort of radio shows voicing their displeasure about Mourinho and things like that. Ultimately then they didn't get results, and then obviously Mourinho got sacked or walked away of his own accord, as he said. But now obviously Solskjaer's there, and they sort of done a bit like Chelsea done in terms of bringing in a club legend, if you can call Solskjaer that. In my opinion, he probably is, considering he scored a goal at one the treble back in the day in 1999. And obviously having Giggs there and sort of ex-players there that sort of understand the Manchester United way, the ethos, as I mentioned, stuff like that. Obviously, sort of he started off really well, and everyone sort of got a bit sort of up in their head up in the clouds, sort of thinking, oh my god, this is great, he's manager, brilliant. But obviously then came the dark patches, and obviously then everyone was going, oh, they shouldn't have Solskjaer as manager, they should get another more experienced manager. But Man United, Ed Woodward, the sort of director owner, he's stuck with Solskjaer, and even though they're still getting the odd dodgy result every now and then, I think they have improved from when Solskjaer first came in. I think himself as well, Solskjaer has improved as a manager. Obviously Man United still aren't where they want to be as a club yet, but they're certainly playing a lot better. But obviously there's been games where they have been outplayed, i.e. the Liverpool game, and obviously they've had results like against Watford when they lost, Burnley when they played at home lost, they obviously lost to Palace at home, things like that. So obviously the results, a mix and match. That's the best I can describe for Man United season so far. Obviously as well, I sort of think the issue with Man United is there's been a lot of sort of rash decisions made since Sir Alex Ferguson left. A lot of big money spent on signings that aren't necessarily what you would call a Manchester United signing, if that makes sense. Maybe sort of the name, but in terms of what they want to achieve as a club, which is, I assume, win the league, win the Champions League, that sort of thing, dominance basically, it's just not signings you would expect Manchester United to make. And that's ultimately why they're failing at the moment in terms of where they want to be. Obviously a situation's ongoing now with obviously Paul Pogba, obviously they bought back from Juventus for big money. Obviously the player himself is a very arrogant player. He is very good on his day when he wants to play football, but unfortunately I think because of the amount of money he earns and his sort of lifestyle out of football, he doesn't really care that much. And ultimately him getting injured, and then he's posting on his social media feeds going to like basketball games and things like that, and doing dances and things like that when he's supposedly injured. It doesn't really give off the vibes that of a player that wants to play for United, and win them trophies, get them up the league, that sort of thing. Because obviously there's a lot of talk about obviously Solskjaer wanting to build the team around Pogba, but obviously it looks like Pogba's probably going to go at the end of this season or whatever, go back to Juventus or maybe to Madrid, Barca, PSG, maybe something like that. But we'll see what happens to that. But I personally think Man United needs to just get rid of them, get rid of him, cut their losses with Pogba, and then ultimately forget about him, basically. Obviously, what Manchester United have done quite well this season in terms of what Solskjaer has done is their sort of blend of youngsters that they brought in. Obviously, they got Rashford, who's obviously been there a few seasons now. It's still only like 19, 20 years old. You obviously got Mason Greenwood, who's come through this season. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka, quite young, that they signed from Crystal Palace. And Brandon Williams, that came through the academy. We've also got like players like Chong, Garner. So they've got some good young players coming through, and players that the United fans want to see in their team for a few years to come. So that's one thing I think Solskjaer's done well. Obviously, similar to what I said about Chelsea in the last video, when you have youngsters in a team, there are going to be a few mix and match results. And there are going to be sometimes when you expect them to do something, they don't do that because of their lack of experience. But as I said, the more games youngsters play at a high level, the better they're going to be. That's standard, and that's obviously what's going to happen with Manchester United. It's obviously not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a few months, maybe even a few seasons, but certainly in terms of the young players they've got and the quality that they've shown so far, there's possibly a good future in store for Man United in terms of youngsters. Obviously, as well, what Solskjaer has done, there's players who haven't really had a look in on the previous managers that have come back. The main sort of example that sticks out for me is players like Fred and Matic, who couldn't get a look in on the previous managers, fell out with them, and we're not even in matchday squad sometimes, but sort of they've come back, shown their worth to the manager, and now they're in the team every single week. So it sort of goes to show maybe a change of emphasis that Solskjaer has brought in, maybe, I don't know, but it's good to see maybe players like that coming back, because they are good players on their day, but it's good maybe to see that they have come back in the squad, because they have improved the squad and to help Manchester United improve. One sort of thing, as I've been talking about most of this video, is obviously the consistency. They need more consistency if they want to get into that top four, get in the Champions League. They need consistency. It's no good winning one, winning a couple and then drawing, losing a couple. It's got to be consistent. You look at sort of Liverpool this season, constant wins. You look at teams like Man City a few seasons back, this season sometimes, getting a run of good results together. And then that's it, you get up the league. It's always going to, wins is what going to make it happen. And that's what Manchester United need to get better at, is getting consistency. They need to find a way of playing. I don't think they have found that yet, the right way, in terms of do they want to, do the attacking football, like passing it around from the back, building their way up, that kind of thing, or counter-attack. Me personally, watching them sort of different ways, they struggle when teams sit back. They struggle to sort of break them down, and they don't really know how to play. But when sort of teams do come at them, they're very, very good at counter-attacking because of the pace they have up front in Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, those kind of players. So they either got to find a way of sort of combining their counter-attack with fast, free-flowing football, or they just want to become a counter-attacking team. But we'll see over this season, if this season gets finished, or next season, we'll see if Manchester United can develop an identity again and get back to the Manchester United of old, and start competing with Liverpool and Man City. Anyway guys, that's the end of the video. If any Manchester United fans come across this video, what do you think of your team's season so far? Me personally, I'm going to give your season a 7.5 out of 10. I think in terms of cup competitions, you're doing okay in that. The league has improved a bit going into this new year, but I still think it could be a lot better, and that's why my rating is that. So yeah, if you agree with my rating, let me know. If you think it should be higher, let me know. What do you think? Who's been your standout player so far? And if the season resumes again, what do you hope for the rest of the season? Again, as I said, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care guys, and goodbye.